everybody. Welcome to the Good Evening Kitties podcast. I'm Melissa, your ghostess with the mostest, and I'm excited to start out the show. Today's episode is going to be Season 1, Episode 1, The Man Who Was Death. So we're going to be kicking it off here from the beginning, and I just got done watching the episode, and for the first episode of the first season, I mean, it wasn't too bad. It kept you interested. It was definitely different. I forgot because it's on HBO. You know, you see a little bit of nudity and a couple words that are a little off color, but it was still super fun and great. So let's go ahead and get started with that. So the screenplay for The Man Who Was Death was written by Robert Renaud and Walter Hill. It was directed by Walter Hill. He also goes on to direct a few more episodes later in the show. It originally air dated June 10th in 1989. And it doesn't feel super 1989, at least to me. Based on the case that I have here, I have season 1 here out with me for the complete first season. It's a pretty cool case. It's got, always got cool pictures and things on it. A shocking experience. When the death penalty is abolished, a penitentiary executioner turns freelance electrocutioner, but fate may pull a switch on this man who loves to throw the switch. You already know it's going to be something a little like, electrifying. So it also stars Bill Sadler. He plays the main character. I've also seen him in a few episodes of Roseanne around the same time, I think. David Wall's in it. Mimi Kennedy has a really quick appearance. She went on to be the mom in Dharma and Greg. And so go ahead and start out here. There's the Crypt Keeper intro. He's in front of like a bug zapper, so you already know it's going to be, kind of, electric. It plays to what it is, and he looks very good. First season, he's great. The puppeteers are doing great. He's super dusty and old looking. He's got a lot of holes in his face, and he's got his big book out. He's going to open it up and tell you the story. And when he opens it up, it's kind of cool because like it's got the cover from the original, like drawn in the EC Comics fashion of the intro. So you got The Man Who Was Death is this episode. And like in the beginning, it starts out and there's a man sitting in a jail cell here. And the camera work is a little shaky in the intro. It's announcing like, all the people in the show and who did the casting, and they're playing carnival music, and there's a man here sitting in his cell and he's awaiting his execution. His name is Charlie. He apparently got upset and killed his boss, I think, and one of the bullets too, like, accidentally killed a secretary. He's headed to the electric chair. Again, the camera work is still a little shaky for some reason in here, but that's alright. So it starts out and there's a guy narrating it, and he's the main character, played by Bill Sadler. His name is Niles Talbot. He's telling this, he's the executioner for the prison, and he's just kind of going through like what he does and how different people react to when they get electrocuted, and things like that.
I guess right about now, Charlie Ledbetter's starting to think pretty serious about that Valley of Death. He's thinking about that rubber diaper they give him to wear, wondering if he's gonna crap all over himself when I juice him in a couple minutes. He will.
So they're telling the story about this Charlie guy and everything, and he's, awaiting his death, and it's about midnight, where apparently the governor can call and stop you from getting electrocuted. So he's basically waiting around for that. They're breaking the fourth wall quite a bit. He's already talking right to you. He's basically just telling it straight to the camera, like, this is how I feel, and this is what's going on, and sometimes people go through different things when they're electrocuted, and he seems pretty calm about it, pretty okay with it, and excited to be the one to pull the switch. And he's making fun of how the people always say that the governor's going to call, and in the 12 years that he's been doing this job, the governor's never called. So he's always got to pull the switch, and he seems pretty excited to have that as a job. So the cops are dragging Charlie over to the chair and tying him up, and he's getting his last rites, and he ends up getting, they end up electrocuting him, but Niles is the one who goes and messes with the voltage And even after he's electrocuted one time and pretty sure the guy was dead, he decides to do it again. No one really seems to have a problem with that, but he goes ahead and does it anyway, I guess just to make sure that he's really gone and everything. So apparently the state requires the 2 jolts. I guess that's makes sense, but it's still kind of freaky looking. So then Charlie gets electrocuted, that's all done. And then it jumps to Niles, and he's talking about the city that he lives in, and you can tell he really likes electricity. Like, he seems to be really into, like, lights and electrical things and everything like that, so he's all about, shocking and things like that. This is where he introduces himself as Niles Talbot. He's been the executioner for the last 12 years. He came from Oklahoma, and he was an electrician, and then he ended up getting to the prison taking care of the generators, and I guess it kind of went from that. He likes electricity, is basically what he's saying. So he heads over to the diner to get a cheese sandwich and some coffee, which doesn't sound super appetizing. There's a female reporter on the TV, and apparently they just took away the death penalty in that state. Just after, a few hours after he just electrocuted Charles, they got rid of it. So he pretty much doesn't have anything he's not really needed in the prison anymore after this gets revoked. So he goes ahead and he gets fired, and he doesn't take it super well. He's not super mad, but he's been there for 12 years and he still wants to run the generators, but he already trained a guy to do that, so he's gone. But basically one reason is they don't want to keep him, because if he went on to just work normally around all the prisoners, they all know what he did, and I guess they feel like that would be not in their best judgment and maybe cause some issues. So then he heads over to a bar where he starts talking to the bartender, and it is just full of product placement. So much Budweiser, Bud Light, all that all over there. I mean, I guess that's what's expected. It's a bar, but still, you definitely see it. So the bartender, gives him a free drink, and he's saying how he's, what a shame that happened, that he got canned and everything, and that people they both agree people on TV don't know anything. And Niall starts talking about, how lucrative it could be to put prison executions on TV, or even in the cells of the prisoners, and they start talking about all this stuff, injustice and things like that. So then it cuts to, I guess it's like the next day, I don't know, a few days later. Can't be too long. And Niles is sitting in a courtroom, just hanging out, I guess, and he sees a man who is this biker named Jimmy Flood. He's a real bad dude. I guess he murdered someone, and he ends up going free from a clerical error that was on some of the papers that they had with the case. So he ends up getting free. He's super excited about it. He looks just like he looks rough, and everyone's upset. Zora Mimi Kennedy comes in, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, you killed him, you got away with it," and all the bikers are happy. So he gets free. He's super excited. The courtroom's going crazy. Niles just sitting there kind of taking it all in. Apparently he killed Mimi Kennedy's brother. So they're all saying murder and everything. So, Niles starts to think, maybe I could take this guy out. He wants to become some sort of electrical vigilante, I guess. And, he likes bikers. He's saying he's all cool for bikers and stuff, but he ends up, somehow there was like a gate. I don't know how he knew where the guy was going, but I guess he trailed him, and there was a gate, like a metal fence. He hooks up a bunch of wires to it, and this Jimmy guy gets off his bike and touches it and gets fried. So Jimmy is dead. Niles is pretty excited, I guess, about his justice and feeling like he's doing his job, even though I guess now he's not getting paid for it. So then on the news, they're saying it was a short circuit, like a freak accident, but Niles knows what really happens. So then he's sitting in another court case. He likes to hang out with them, I guess. And there's a couple, a man and a woman, who is set free by jury. Apparently, I think the guy, the husband of the group, they both plotted to kill his wife and get her money, and they both got away with it. So I'm pretty sure they did it based on later when the other woman is trying to throw the man under the bus there. So they get set free. Niles is not happy about this. It cuts to, I don't know where they're at, a gym or something. They're in a hot tub. And I don't know how he knew. But he found them in a hot tub and was able to hook something up to it. And I don't know what he hooked up to it, but he has a little tiny switch, like remote. So Niles is kind of explaining what he's doing and heading over there on the way over. But yeah, so they're in the hot tub and they're drinking champagne and really celebrating. I don't know, it's a little quick, but celebrating getting away with murder, I guess. And so they're in the hot tub and they're hanging out, and he comes in and they're right away like, we'll give you money, I don't know what you want, and he's like, I know what you got away with, and so he hits the switch, and it's kind of neat looking. They a lot of bubbles, a lot of water jetting everywhere, and they're all shaking, and they both die. So he got rid of them. So now they cut to newspaper. There's someone else who got acquitted, possibly murdering their boyfriend, and so he's heading to a bar where she dances. And this is where you get some topless ladies. They're doing their dances. You get a little 80s hair, some neon lights, lots of rockabilly music, all that fun stuff. He starts telling you about how to pick up a woman, which is as good as you think it would be. And so apparently with this woman, which this made me laugh, she's dancing in a cage, and he has a red and a black jumper cable wires hooked to the top of the cage, and they're huge. They're pretty big, and they go all the way across the ceiling. I don't know how he got up there without anyone knowing. This club seems pretty busy. He's got a lot of free time though. He doesn't have a job anymore, so I guess he was able to figure it out. And so, she's dancing, and he goes around the back and opens up this little briefcase where he's got all these things to hit the switch and get it going, but those jumper cables really had me going. And this is where right before this, he's getting kind of creepy. He's super excited about what he's getting ready to do. So he goes back there and he gets ready to hit the switch, and he hits it and it malfunctions, and he doesn't understand why. And then all of a sudden from behind him, the cops bust through the back door. I think his boss was there too, it looked like, or his ex-boss. And so he's caught. He's under arrest. Somehow they were onto him. I don't know if it was whatever he did to the hot tub, and maybe people figuring out that he's been sitting in all these court cases. But so he's caught. Somehow the death penalty just got reinstated. I think it's only been a week or two. That is a quick turnaround. Usually it takes forever to get things passed or unpassed. So death penalty just gets reinstated. So now he's heading to the chair. Oh, the irony. That's what I like about these shows. They always have the twist or an ironic turn of events where you're like, oh, I should have been nicer, So he's heading to the chair. And just like everyone else that he was making fun of, he starts to beg to wait for a pardon call for the governor. He says he's done so much things for him and took care of dirty laundry or things in a way for the governor that he's going to call, and, don't worry about it. But, and he's cussing everyone out, and he's, super angry, and they strap him into the chair, and they, another guy hits the switch, and he gets a huge voltage in him, and he's jumping around, and then he goes down. Well, they hit him twice, so he does it again, and this time he's dead, which I think he was probably after the first one. They didn't really show. So he's gone. So that's the end of the episode. He ended up getting what he was making fun of other people all along, and it cuts back to the Crypt Keeper. I have a little trivia here from IMDb about this episode in particular. Walter Hill, who was the director, agreed to give Bill Sadler the lead only if he vowed to perform it exactly as he did for the audition. I mean, he did a great job. He was definitely creepy. It was a good episode. It seemed a little quick. I kind of forget how quick these episodes can be. I guess when you don't have commercials or anything in them, they really don't run super long. But yeah, also Bill Sadler, who played Niles Talbot, he initially auditioned for the role of the detective who was going to arrest his character that he ended up getting, but he asked at the audition about playing Talbot, and the casting director told Sadler that they were going to maybe try Christopher Walken or John Malkovich for the role, and Sadler was allowed to audition, and he was eventually cast as Niles Talbot. Also, another great thing about the show is you get some fun puns from the Crypt Keeper, and so I'm going to do a little segment here. Crypt Keeper, you're so punny. So next we're going to talk about the best pun from the Crypt Keeper. At the end of the show, you got the Crypt Keeper. He's in a little teeny version of an electric chair, and he's pulling his own switch. And the best pun he says is,
"It just goes to show you what happens when you get too caught up in your work." Don't worry, though. I'm sure he never knew what hit him.
oh my gosh, so funny, Crypt Keeper. Like, always makes you want to roll your eyes. You know, get it, watt, as in voltage and electricity. Anyway, super fun. So yeah, so that's the episode. Thank you guys for listening. Hope you like what you hear. The next episode will be for season 1, episode 2, with Tales from the Crypt, and it's called "And All Through the House." That one's kind of a fun one, so get a little Christmassiness going to it. So yeah, so thanks for listening, and this was the Good Evening Kitties podcast.
I just had quite a scare. I actually thought my heart was beating.